A viewer says, Jim, I'm having a ton of problems with my coordinator. It seems like we go together like oil and water. We just never can get on the same page. I have trouble getting prescriptions, getting procedures scheduled. When I try to ask a question, they're almost rude about it, like I'm bothering them or they don't have time. Hey folks, welcome back to the Transplant Helper again today. My name is Jim Merle, and yes, if you are dealing with issues with your coordinator, you got a bad problem on your hands. There is no doubt in my mind that your coordinator is the most important one person on the entirety of your team, more important in most cases than your doctors, any of the nurses in clinic, any of the technicians, basically more important than anybody because you spend the most time with them. They have to be the most constant and consistent in your life. They are kind of the hub of everything. That's just the nature of the word coordinator, in that they coordinate everything. They're going to have their hands in everything in some way or some fashion. Now, as an example, let me speak for my coordinator. Her name is Connie over at UAB. She's been totally awesome. I've been dealing with her for a little bit over 9 years, and really, it's just been a pleasure to deal with her all the way through. And that is because she always does what she needs to do to assist me. She's kind of that middle person that stands between all of my scheduling, all of my medication handling, my ordering of medications from the pharmacy. If I've got a call, I can immediately pick up the phone and call her. I'll get in touch with her practically immediately. She'll either answer the phone or she'll call me back within about 15 or 20 minutes. She's the person that is the middle person between my doctors. She'll actually say, hey, let me go and talk with Dr. Lodge or Dr. whomever. I'll go ask them. I'll call you right back. I'll get back with you. She is the one that if I come into clinic, she's the first one in the room. She's the one that comes and brings me from the waiting room. First one sitting down. She asks me all those questions, kind of goes through and triages everything, steps out in the hall, deals with the doctor, brings the doctor in. By the time they walk in the room, they pretty much know the deal. She's already shared that with them. She is the hub of everything. She's always been awesome at that. She's always just been right on time every time, doing what she needs to do. But I do realize not every coordinator is that way. Now, in the person who asked the question, they're having difficulty or problems in getting medications orders, procedures established or scheduled. They're not willing to answer questions in a nice way. They're being rude about it. What can you do about that? Well, first and foremost, let me encourage you, if you can at all keep from doing it, try not to change coordinators. Now, I say that in one way, but in another way, I don't exactly mean it that way. The reason I say that is if you go through a major shift in coordinators, more than likely, particularly if there's been any long-term experience between you and the one you currently have, you're talking about a learning process on both sides. You're talking about what you need to do as far as learning their manners, the way they deal with things, their procedures, their technique. They may go in and want to change a few things that maybe you're not really ready to change, medication dosage, that sort of thing. They're just going to see things, if they are new to you, from a whole new perspective. There's probably quite a bit they're going to tweak and adjust that maybe you're not going to be comfortable with. So it's always best from your perspective, looking toward them, that you don't make that change. In addition to that, they do have to learn you. Now, one of the things I can say about Connie is that Connie has been with me a little bit over 9 years post-transplant, but even farther back than that, as I had already met her pre-transplant and in clinic. She oftentimes was the nurse practitioner / coordinator that came in and checked on me on the floor, sometimes ahead of the doctors. And so we've kind of got to know one another's personalities, to know one another's, strengths and weaknesses. And she just knows my case inside and out. I pick up the phone, and even though sometimes it calls into the office and then they kind of buzz her cell, so she's answering in the middle of a busy hallway, she doesn't have to necessarily pull up my file to answer questions. She just knows. Okay, I'm talking with Mr. Merle. Here's his case. Here's his situation. Here's what he does. Here's what he takes. Here's what he don't. Not everybody has that ability, but Connie does. So I would encourage you first, try not to make a swap in coordinators. It's going to be best to keep things consistently and on a constant flow. But at the same time, let's turn that over. And I want to say this, you do need to get a new coordinator. And what I mean by that is you need to sit down with the current coordinator that you have and do at least two things. Number one, be kind. Number two, be firm. And I mean by that, obviously, you've got to be kind. We're dealing with a hairy situation. In every case, you're dealing with someone who, in a almost literal sense, has your life in the balance, because they are so important in your life. They do have so much to do with your survival and your quality of life and your potential. Just think about it from the perspective that you've got to be kind to that person. Every person in the world not only deserves kindness, but they do better when they receive it. When you deal with people in a kind, considerate manner, generally speaking, that's the type of manner they're going to try to reflect on you. Now, maybe this person's gone sour. Maybe this person is just already in dealing, you and them dealing together just can't handle it anymore. But if at all possible, sit down with them and be kind, but also be absolutely firm with them. And what I mean by that, again, that's not to bring rudeness into the conversation. That's just to let them know exactly what the issues are and what potentially they can do to change those issues, and be willing and open to how you can change some of those issues yourself as well. So just don't get in there and just kind of be vague, like, well, I'd like to get a new coordinator. I'd like to see, something change about this or that, and not get specific. Need to go in there and be specific and kind. Say, for example, if I were dealing with let's make up a name, Miss Bonnie. I don't think there's a Miss Bonnie at UAB. Sorry if you're Miss Bonnie, but you sit down and say, hey, Miss Bonnie, look, I'm just having a little bit of an issue. I'm kind of frustrated right now, and I don't want to be frustrated, but I'm kind of having a little bit of an issue in that when it's time for refills to be called in the pharmacy, I'm having trouble doing that. I'm leaving messages, and I'm not hearing back from you, and even if I do, you say you fill the medication, but my pharmacy never seems to get it. What can I do to help you? And listen to this phrase carefully. What can I do to help you to do that better, or to make it easier on you to do that? And you see what I've done? I've been kind, but I've also been firm. I've been very specific as to what the issue is. Say, for example, it's just the fact that they're not returning phone calls. Then you can say, hey, I tried to call your office a couple of times. I didn't hear back from you. I know you're very busy. I'm really concerned that I'm not getting those callbacks, because these things may seem small to you, but to me they seem huge. And I've got a little bit of panic and anxiety when these things come up. And so I would really appreciate if you could call me back. See, again, you dealt with them kindly, and you've been kind of firm because you let them know exactly what the issue is. And I could go through a lot of those scenarios, but I won't. But, kind of deal with them in that way. And you're presenting to them basically that you do need a new coordinator, but it doesn't have to be a different coordinator, if that makes sense. You're kind of interviewing them. You're kind of letting them know that these are the changes I need to make, or we need to make together, that in turn can basically give me a different coordinator. I mean, not a different person, but a whole new look, because you don't know. We do not know what that individual is dealing with. We don't know what they're dealing with personally in their lives. We don't know if they have anything physically or emotionally or mentally that's off. Maybe this person is like I am. They suffer with brain fog. And so when you call them and say, hey, can you call in this prescription? And you leave that message on a voicemail or whatever. Maybe even they check their email and they say, okay, so-and-so needs this prescription refill. Maybe they see that, but maybe they forget. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Just kind of giving them some benefit of the doubt and be very considerate about what they may be dealing with. Because I'll tell you one thing that I do know for sure, and this is certain in this time and day, kind of a COVID / now I would say post-COVID time, a lot of these people are overwhelmed. A lot of these people are still really, the staffs at least, are really short-handed. And so maybe their workload is a lot higher than it used to be. I can even tell you, and I love Connie. Connie's done me perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. But I can tell you for sure, Connie's workload is much larger than it used to be back 2 or 3 years ago. And that comes about because obviously there's been more transplants and more people are being added to her, case load in that case. Addition to that, they've actually lost a few coordinators. Some have gone on to other places. Some have moved up in different things. And that load has been dispersed because it's been hard to hire. It's been hard to find high quality help for that. And it's just a problem that's across the globe. It's a problem that's in pretty much every workforce. So just be considerate. And then I want to ask you to do one more thing. And that is kind of, when you approach them with kindness and be firm and be considerate, but also approach them with this in mind. You're not just helping you, you're helping others. Okay, I know in my past I've been hesitant. I've had issues, not with Connie, but with others that I dealt with. I've been hesitant about kind of addressing a problem or reporting a problem, because I think to myself, you know what? I'm a tough guy. I mean, I let things roll off me like water off a duck's back. I'll just move on and I'll just leave this, not worry about it. It's not a big deal. It'll be better tomorrow. But what I'm not realizing is that if I'm letting those things go over and over and over, it's not that they're just happening to me. They're likely happening to someone else. And so like the child in the back of a classroom that holds up his hand and kind of aggravates the other students, he or she oftentimes, when they raise their hand, they're asking a question that even though nobody else in the room is willing to admit it, a whole lot of people in the room needed to hear it. Usually when you ask a question like that, you're saying, hey, teacher, everybody's going, oh, he's asking another question. No, he's asking a question, he's making a statement, or she is, that somebody else needed to answer to. And there's somebody else around them that's going, wow, I'm glad he asked. That's kind of the situation we are in, because I'm not the only patient of our coordinators. And it may be that they're having difficulty in handling this aspect of their job, or maybe just they're frustrated in this aspect of their job. Maybe just someone kindly but yet firmly and considerately pointing that out can kind of turn on some lights in their mind, or give them maybe they need to hand off a little bit. Maybe they need to take a secretary in the office and say, look, I'm going to hand you over a series of emails. All of them are prescription refills. You go ahead and call those in, whatever they can do. I don't know exactly, but maybe they can figure out a way. And in helping you, you're helping many people. So don't ever think that this is an issue just between you and your coordinator, you and this person. And it may be very personal, but it also could be kind of very general, and that a lot of people are having the issue. And by you stepping forward, dealing with it in the right way, then you can make some progress. So would I ask for a new coordinator? No, I'd like to keep the one I have, but yes, what I'd really like to do is get a new one in the one that I have. And while I'm doing that, I'll be kind, I'll be firm, but I'll be considerate. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, stay stronger, friends.